So here we have a Series 4 Nissan Patrol. We will be putting an LS conversion into this. A little LS1, I believe it's this little stroker engine. We are removing the ZD30. This car was in a flood. So basically I'm just starting with all your cosmetic things, like your battery, radiator shroud for the fan. Comes apart in 2-3 pieces when the radiator comes out. We will be removing the bonnet and the bull bar also, so that we can get in there and access it better with an engine crane. So basically we are working on getting to that stage to where we can attack the engine. At this stage I won't be recording as much, just because most of the things here are cosmetic. So basically it's all just nuts and bolts. Everything has an order in which it comes apart. I have drained the radiator coolant, yet to do the engine oil, and I'll basically just be setting myself up to make the job easier for me to remove things. So in this process, generally the more things you remove out of your road will make your job so much easier. So we'll start with, like I said, the bonnet, the bull bar. Sometimes we can put it on the hoist and take the wheels off to lower the front end down. This makes it a lot more accessible to get into the engine bay. Otherwise we're standing up on things like this as such. It's another part of the fan shroud. So I will get a little bit more in depth with tools and show people how to move around a toolbox and what tools are involved in the process. Generally I'm trying to get to an audience that has a bit of an idea and go. Obviously 10% of it will be in the videos, and the other 90% is basically using your tools and undoing bolts, like those two things there, and removing the fuel lines off and so forth and so on, and the intercooler. So each thing, the more you remove, this bolt here, the other one over there, there'll be two up the back here, or your intercooler piping, the more you remove, basically the more you're breaking down and making room to get into other areas and things and stuff like that. So I'll keep moving on what I'm doing here, and I'll keep you updated with progress. And like I said, there is an LS going into this particular vehicle, and I'll be keeping you in the loop with what we're doing to make these jobs possible and how we go about doing so, step by step, and basically what we do in the process of making this all happen. So there will be more in-depth videos. There will be a lot more going on as we get more in depth with what we're doing. I sometimes do get interrupted with other customers and other people and things that are going on, so the videos will be slow, but we will definitely be making some progress. This particular ZD30, like I said, was underwater and the airbox is full of dirt, and so I'd like to see how far this engine has been submerged and if it's salvageable. And if it is, I'm going to show you how to salvage the engine without trying to crank it over and bend con rods and crack pistons and go through all that sort of drama. So I will break it down for you as we go. The next steps will include removing the radiator, the shroud, any hoses attached, and then a lot of cosmetic things like your intercooler piping, the intercooler itself, and then that'll tell a bit of a story. We'll be able to see if there's been water in the piping in the intercooler, and if it has made its way into the inlet manifold. If it has, then we're basically at a stage where we know that there's good chance there's water in the engine. So I'll show you what to do next from there. Fresh water is not always a bad thing to have in an engine. Salt water is a lot more corrosive and rusty and unsalvageable. But fresh water you can get away with. So you'll obviously see that these plugs are dirty, and as you tap them you'll see dirt falling out and stuff like that. So yeah, obviously, like I said, this one's got a good turbo in it, so that's salvageable. It's got a great alternator. I should definitely be able to salvage this engine. I'm almost 100% confident in that, unless they did start it when it was submerged and it's caused some engine failure, but we won't know until we do a compression test. So first off, we'll pull out the glow plugs and crank it over, and we'll see how much water got into the cylinders. And then that'll tell us more of a story. And then we're going to use a diesel compression tester to get a bit of a ballpark figure on compression on a hand wind. So generally, if we see the same compression throughout all cylinders, we know that the engine's pretty good. If you generally see one that's down, there's a major issue there, and there's most likely, or if the engine's locked up and won't turn, then we can try and free it up. And sometimes they will, and they'll be fine. Because muddy fresh water generally won't rust. It becomes like a clay. It's less damage to the internal components of the engine, being that it's not salt water. Anything salt water, it'll seize the engine. You won't be able to free it up. So, showing a little bit of knowledge there, and like I said, as we go through, I'll walk you through a few different things and what we do and where the glow plugs are, and how to determine, before we even get to the engine, if this engine is okay, or if it's worth salvaging. Another thing would be to check the oil dipstick now, which I haven't done yet. So this will tell a story. We're going to pull that out, and there you go. So we've got clean oil with no water. There's no excess water in the sump. So that tells me it's a very good sign that it hasn't been submerged long enough or enough to cause any major damage. That looks pretty damn good. So there's a good sign, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been water that's gotten into the inlet manifold and potentially hydrolocked a cylinder. So, and if that is the case, then generally you'll see a bent rod, or maybe just an engine that won't move. That just depends how much of a gulp it got on the compression stroke. So as we dive in further, I'll keep you updated on these things. And self-diagnosing, not always a great thing unless you know the facts, and the only way to get the facts is by watching these videos and determining the right and correct way, procedures to do things. So bear with us, guys, as we try to navigate through and try and share more and more info to help you guys and like-minded people, and share the knowledge and try and give you the confidence to be able to try and do these things on your own if you can't afford mechanics and stuff like that, and you're willing to learn, or you're an apprentice. So there's always a lot to learn, and generally some mechanics, depending where you work, they don't want you to know too much, because then you become knowledgeable, and sometimes they can't keep you where they need you in your job to be able to keep servicing these vehicles like a servicing technician that they want you to be. And everybody has their place in the world. So like I says, giving you guys the tools and education behind it all to understand things better, and then give yourself the confidence to move better and freely around an engine and know things better and understand things correctly, without always having to ask and try build up a little, like I said, self-confidence is a big thing, and tool etiquette and understanding and how and why things work. And that's what we're basically going to get you guys to learn throughout these videos. And we're at the 10-minute mark, so I think that's enough for now, guys. Thanks.